G'day guys, welcome to Dailey Empire. This time I update the interior on the F100. But firstly, I need to fix some stuff under here. Right, well basically, first things first under the bonnet here is I want to tidy up some of the wiring. This engine bay is eventually going to get a full overhaul. Like I'd really like to tidy it up, like go to town on this thing. But for now, I'm just going to tidy up a little bit because there's just stuff going everywhere. Although it's relatively sort of butchered, there is a little bit of tatty wiring, like typical gas stuff that's just been sort of run across the engine bay, and it's all just ugly. So, and I'm going to swap out the coil. I've used this one at another car just to isolate that the coil was an issue, because I've now gone from points which had issues to an electronic dizzy. This electronic dizzy was bought for one of my other XB Falcons and I could never get it working. I've given it another crack in this and it seems to be fine. So I've got a brand new coil, so I fit that today, but yeah, a bit of a tidy up and then I'm going to move on to the interior. Okay, so I thought I was finished. I finished wiring up the new coil, back in the place of the factory position. Everything's all nice and neatly ran. Back to the exact same problem. It won't run at low revs, which is why I initially took this off. You didn't see that on camera, but I was playing around yesterday, putting a new distributor in. And I've gone back to this crane ignition that I found in one of the cars up the block, which I used just temporarily to isolate whether the coil was the problem, because I don't like to buy brand new parts just to try and find a problem. So I've used another part to replace what I thought was the issue, overcome the issue, put a brand new one in to replace it, and now back to square one. So either this is another dud coil, or these things just simply don't have enough charge, which makes no sense. I mean, these are the most common coils you'll ever see. As soon as you drop down to idle, it just shuts off. So I'm going to go back to the very old original one that's been on the car forever, but it's a resistor coil, which apparently is not what I need for electronic ignition, but I don't care, because theory is now going out the window because this ain't working. So I'm going to go back to that, see if that works, and if not, this crane ignition is just going to stay in the bloody car. Alright, plan C. I'm going to try another coil that I got today with a kit for another dizzy. Try that. Fuel miser, go in the bin. All right, so finished under the bonnet for now. It's all running sweet. The coil I ended up using was a Goss, Goss. They know a lot of electrical products, and that seemed to have solved the problem. So I can recommend those coils. So now we're inside, and I'm now looking at what to do in here. So obviously, I need a seat upgrade, maybe playing over the dash. Now, as you can see, it's in pretty good shape, aside from a few missing screws and like needing a good, maybe a bit of a repaint. The rest of it's pretty good. Like there's a few cracks, but nothing too bad. I wouldn't mind replacing this fascia surround, which appears to be the same as like an XC Falcon, and the dash, the actual cover there needs a bit of a polish because it's very hard to see. Aside from that, it's all in pretty good shape. I'm in a dilemma. I really want some mod cons in this truck, so I've got a touchscreen DVD slash Bluetooth smartphone, all that sort of stuff. So the sound system in this thing I want to be really nice because I love my music, and the problem is this is a single DIN stereo, and most of these you can't really get flip up ones anymore. That's pretty ancient now. So I'm in a dilemma where I actually cut to the dash. I really don't want to, but I may have to. As far as I understand, this is only like a Australian delivered thing, because usually I'd be sitting in the driver's seat right now and the stereo would be right there. But it's all changed around a little bit for the Aussie stuff, so that I don't think is even on the Yankee ones. I'm not sure what I'm going to do here yet, but I'm just going to figure that out now and then make a decision. Alright, so I've dash fascia out here, and here's my little, well not my little, my big stereo DVD. This thing has everything. I can even connect up my reverse camera onto this, which is going to be handy. So what I'm thinking is it actually works out. It's really hard to tell because there isn't like a fascia surround, which they usually come with, but it's almost identical width to that chrome surround. So what I'm thinking is if I can cut this perfectly there and through that chrome surround, I can paint that rest of that strip black, so I'll still have Ford there, and that will just be sitting there below. But I have to be pretty critical with my cutting, so fingers crossed. That's more or less what it's going to look like. Alright, so I've been flat out on the install of this stereo for the last few hours. So I've got that all cut out and filed up so it fits nice. Rather than putting these horrible old rusty screws in, I'm going to my United Fasteners box here and pick out some nice stainless ones. Right, so I've got the stereo all installed and I'm pretty happy with it. It was pretty tricky to get it all, tensioned up and fit nicely because there was no sort of bracketry in there, but I've got it all tensioned up and it fits real nice. So I hate this handle. I'm going to get rid of that because that sucks. I replaced all the screws with nice new stainless ones from my new kit here. So yeah, one step down. Now I'm gonna pull the trim out and lay some carpet. So I got the first door trim off. I forgot to mention that I do have to do the speakers because they're old junk. And this car has seen some serious dirt roads, like it is super dusty. And a word of warning to any F100 owners, these door trims are super brittle. So I've managed to get mine off without breaking any. But just check out this speaker action. Look at the amount of bolts. Slight overkill for a speaker, mate. Gonna pull them bad boys out and I'm gonna swap them over for a couple that I got in the truck. Right, stereo install for now is done, all but the reverse camera, which will go through the screen here, and also my little sub I haven't got in, but my door trims all tidied up, refitted better speakers in there, and then tidied the door trims up and got that all ready to go. So now the seat's coming out and all this crusty carpet. See if I can make it look like a new truck again. Hot tip for any stubborn, rusty or corroded screws. Phillips heads generally is a bit easier because you can centralise it, but give it a good smack with a hammer. Usually will free it up a bit. There you go. These trims are in pretty good shape, so I'll replace the screws with nice new stainless ones, but the trims here I'll just polish up. We'll just clean up. Alright, that is a mission. All the carpet's out, all the gunk is out, and it is clean as a whistle. How good is this floor? I'm not sure how well it's showing up on the camera here, but there is no sign of rust in this floor. It is fantastic. Along the back here, even the factory seam seal has only just started to slightly crack, but that is fine. That's just wet grime, really. That's not rust. That's just a lot of dirt that's embedded. That's wet. So bloody stoked with how good this floor is. So now I have wiped that all down with Prepsol, so it should all stick. And I'm going to see what I've got in the way of sound deadener. I've got the sound deadening in here, laid out in place, ready to go. This is by Classic Industries. I'm not sure if it's made anymore, but apparently this stuff is not petroleum based, which means it won't burn if your car catches a light, which is handy. So I'm going to lay, it's a pretty big cab even though it's only 2 seats, or sorry, not one bench seat, but I'm going to lay the footwells out under this seat here, because I'm going to run my sub, and if there's any little offcuts I might just sort of fill in the rest, but then on top of that I'm going to put some sound deadening, like some underlay. I don't have a heap of that, so I'll see what else I can dig up. I might have a little bit more laying around the place, because I want this cab to be really nice and quiet. I don't need a break from you. Okay, so I now have the door rubbers on and the scuff plates all screwed down. Very fiddly job, but I'm pretty happy with the outcome. Now I'm at the point where I'm going to put seat belts back in this floor, and this is a trick that I like to use, because obviously you're going to try and find the bolt holes again, and it is pain. So usually you'd stab around the floor, try and find it. Obviously you have to have a rough idea where you're going. but this is my method. It's obviously a lot easier because I'm in an F100, it's up quite high, I can get under the car. But whether you locate the hole from the top or the bottom with a Phillips headed screwdriver, do that first. Now, I'm just going to go for the bottom because it's easier. And then either get another Phillips head screwdriver, the biggest one you got, and heat it up with a blowtorch. That's the way I usually like to do it. Alternatively, use a soldering iron, but it will tend to ruin your tip a little bit. So obviously be super careful. Now you got the hole, you know where that is. And then burn around the hole and give yourself nice access. That is going to make life so much easier when trying to put the bolts in. It won't get up all bound up in the carpet like it usually does. So yeah, do that for all of them, seat bolt holes and seat belt holes. And make sure you get the right holes. You'll be spewing if you don't. That's it. Alright, let's go towards you. I'm back a little bit. Fast forward. Okay, so obviously that night I ended up finalising the underlay, sorry, the sound deadener, then the underlay, and now I have got the carpet in, and there was a lot of jigging around and just boring stuff, so it wasn't recorded. As you can see, the new scuff plates, sorry, the scuff plates, I've just given them a clean up, new screws, new door rubbers. They are a little bit loose, which is kind of annoying. But they can stay loose for now because once this truck is, you know, tied it up and I may coat the paint, then I'll seal the door trims up properly, the rubbers. I'll give you a quick rundown of what I've done. Obviously, as you can see, the stereo install has been done. Super happy with that. The bench is back in with the blanket on top just to get me out of trouble until I sort out what I'm doing long term with the bench. Door trims come up mint, and that's pretty much it. A couple of things I want to mention as well that I did in the back here. Really happy with this. It has made the biggest difference. Bam. The hideaway sub, along with some sound deadening, makes a huge difference. This thing actually sounds really good inside now. So I've already done a sneaky trip away up to the Riverland, which you will see on an upcoming episode of the Iron Empire. And this thing was awesome on the road. It was like a new car, super quiet. I actually tightened up the steering box, even though I'm removing that anyway. It sat on the highway, awesome. No road noise anymore. Perfect stereo sound. And you may be wondering why I have these awfully tacky Ford mats in the thing. Those mats are actually the mats that I bought for my very first car, which is way back in like 2002. So we're talking like 18 years ago now. And it may have even been earlier than that, to be honest with you. But look, I've had these mats forever and they've just been sitting on the shelf for yonks. And they're still in good nick. So I thought, you know what? Why not? They work, they've got a bit of history, and they'll keep the carpet looking fresh as. So that's the story on the truck for now. There's obviously plenty of upcoming mods to do, so come back for that. And one other thing as well, we've always joked, Charlie and I are actually joking about remote controls for car stereos. What a waste of time, like you're right there. But in a car this big, and with the F trucks with the actual stereo on the wrong side of the dash, this is actually super handy. I can sit in the driver's seat and just change songs, and yeah, awesome. So that's it for this week. I will see you all on an upcoming episode of the Iron Empire. Cheers, guys.